Hello, Garland Nixon here. And Assad must go. Putin, this man cannot remain in power. Let's talk. Hello, all Garland here. Hold on a second. There we go. Garland Nixon here. And we need to talk about some things going on, certainly in the wake of the Biden debacle. Mother of all debacles, father of all debacles, ancestry of all debacles. We had a debacle that will not soon be forgotten on Thursday. But first, I think what I need to start before, and you see where I'm going with this. You by the name, you see where I'm going with this, right? Remember, Assad must go. Now, let me, for those of you who may have forgotten, let's go here. All righty, let's go and see what they say in CNN. This comes from March 26th, 2022, just a few weeks, about roughly a month after the special military operation started. Biden says Putin cannot remain in power. President Joe Biden declared forcefully Saturday that Russian President Vladimir Putin should no longer remain in power, an unabashed challenge that came at the very end of a swing through Europe meant to reinforce Western unity. For God's sake, this man cannot remain in power. How about that, huh? Woo-hoo-hoo, man, he told us, didn't he? He laid down the law. For God's sake, this man cannot remain in power. Biden announced at the conclusion of a capstone address delivered in the cold outside the royal castle in Warsaw, right? So that's what he says. Well, let's see. Joe Biden has said some things that were controversial. There was a big stir over that. Oh, no. So let's see. Joe Biden's made some more recent remarks. Let's see what Joe Biden's saying these days. Let's get something a little bit more. Let's find a little bit more. Let's get some of the latest Joe Biden remarks to see if we can put them together with maybe something that he said in the past. All right. Let's listen to the wisdom, the wit, wisdom, and philosophical and intellectual brilliance of Joe Biden.
Both, however, making sure that we're able to make every single solitary person eligible for what I've been able to do with the COVID. With dealing with everything we have to do with. Look, if we finally beat Medicare, we're trying to provide housing for Black Americans. The impact on the choice, the idea that they're gonna. I'm proposing that everybody the millionaires pay 1%. So no one I've not raised the cost of Social Security for anybody. I got my handicap, which when I was vice president, down to a 6. And wants to get rid of the ability of Medicare for us to be able to negotiate drug prices with the big pharma companies. What I'm going to do is fix the tax system. For example, we have 1,000 billionaires in America. No one was hurt. No one Israeli was accidentally killed, and it stopped. And I'm going to continue to move until we get the total ban on the total initiative relative to what we're going to do with more border patrol and more asylum officers.
All right, so there you have it. Now, why does that screen look like that? Do I have to tell you what's happening? Donald Trump released a compilation video, and he didn't have to say anything. He didn't have to talk. He didn't have to point to anything. All he had to do, if you think about it, Joe Biden made a video. Joe Biden made a video for Donald Trump. And if you look at that, it's pathetic. Now, why do we say about that? What do we start off with that? Here's what's important. And let me say this. And this is important because this is relative to the debate and relative to the rest of this conversation. The biggest lie that was told, all this business, Trump lied. That's one of their things. Trump lied, Trump lied, Trump lied. Look, Trump is apathetic about the truth when it comes, just like the Democrats. He's going to say whatever he needs to say at a given time. Trump's like a fisherman, right? Trust me when I tell you this. I'm a guy who is an avid fisherman. Every fish that is caught, like a nice sized fish, grows like 4 inches and increases in weight about 1.5 pounds between the time that it's caught and the time that the guy tells the story about the fish, right? And of course, you know how it is. You golf. The one thing I ain't mad at Biden about is lying about his golf game. Any golf player knows their ability to play golf increases when they tell the story. I used to play ball. I'm always a much better shooter. I've known guys that I played with, right? And that couldn't, get this high off the ground. But when you hear them tell stories about back in the day, they were flying through the air doing a windmill dunk, and you're like, "What, dude? You couldn't even jump over, a paper cup." And now you were telling the stories of how you, jumped over a Kia or something, a Hyundai at a promotional event and slam dunked with 3 hands. So the one thing I ain't mad about Biden is lying about his golf game, because that's kind of a manly kind of thing to do. If you're fishing, you lie about the size of the fish. You lie about the girls you used to date when you were young. You lie about your golf swing, how high you could jump when you play, whatever. That's a guy thing. Guys do that stuff. Particularly, I'll put it like this. The guys that couldn't jump have to say they could jump higher. The guys that couldn't get the babes have to lie about the hot babes they got. You know what I mean? The guy that can't catch any fish has to lie about the size and number of fish that he got. So, okay, that's the way it goes. When Biden said I had a 6 handicap, immediately I'm like, well, that guy's no good. He can't play. But because I understand that. The person who has to lie about it is the person that can't do it. See, that's the game. I'm sorry out there, but that's the way guys are. I've been a guy for a long time. Most guys are in there that are listening are like, yeah, darling. Yeah, I know that game, right? Guys all know. It's just a guy thing. Don't hate. Just accept it as a part of real life. Okay. But there was a very dangerous lie, right? Did Trump lie? Probably. I don't know. I didn't pay much attention to that. They were like, Trump lied when he said that inflation was worse under him or some crap. They found some statistic and they said Trump lied about this, that, and that. But there was a very, very significant lie and a very important lie. And I'm going to bring that to your attention right now. To me, the most important lie in that debate was told by Joe Biden. And this was the lie. He said that when Vladimir Putin defeats Ukraine, he's going on to Poland and the Baltic states. What's going to, he clearly said, and implied in every way he could that if in fact the Russians won in Ukraine, that they were just crazy men, that they were just going to attack the next country for no reason other than because they're evil, right? Well, here's the problem with that, and that's why that's the most dangerous lie that was told. Okay, there's a foundation here. The foundation is Russia has a nuclear doctrine. And that the use of nuclear weapon doctrine basically says if the Russian state is at risk, if destruction of the Russian state is at risk, they'll use nukes, right? They will use nukes. That's it. Game over. They're going to fry everybody, right? That's it. If you try to destroy the Russian state, they're taking you out. Okay. If in fact what Joe Biden said was true, that if Russia wins in Ukraine, then Russia will continue their war and attack the rest of Europe. What that would mean was that's the end of mankind. Why is that? Because if in fact Russia's aim was to take all of Europe, I guess the entire world, but if aim was to take all of Europe, if that were true, if the Russians were going to take Ukraine and then take all of Europe, that would mean that Europe and the US and all, they would all have to come back and fight and defeat Russia and try to defeat Russia, try their best to defeat Russia. At this point, they'd lose. But the odds are overwhelming that when they lost and they got their butt kicked, they'd use nuclear weapons. But on the other side, he's saying Russia must be defeated. So if Russia had to be defeated because they were going to attack Europe, that would mean if you defeat Russia, then they're going to use their nukes and fry everybody. And there will be. So if what Biden was saying was true, it necessitates World War III. Now, might I add, does Russia have a military agreement with North Korea? Which means if what Joe Biden was saying is true, that Russia will expand the war if they win in Ukraine, you got to stop them from winning Ukraine, you got to fight them. And even if you don't, you got to fight them when they go to start expanding through all the other states, right? Okay. So now you got to go to war with Russia. But that means that North Korea and Russia have a nuclear pact, which means now you're at war with two nuclear powers. Oh, did you know that North Korea and China have, I think I said a nuclear pact. What I meant was a mutual defense agreement. Did you know that North Korea has one with China also? So that means you got to go to war with Russia, which means you're automatically at war with North Korea because they have a mutual assistance pact, pretty much, which means you're automatically at war with China because China and North Korea have a mutual assistance agreement also, right? So basically, if what Joe Biden said was true, then what it would mean, it would necessitate World War III. It would necessitate that the United States and Europe goes to war with Russia and North Korea and China at that point. If they win, according to Russia's nuclear doctrine, Russia must then annihilate the United States and all of Europe, which would then fire back, and that's it for the world, right? Okay. If they lose, if Russia wins, that means that that the U.S. and Europe are then going to fire their missiles. So here's my point. Joe Biden told a lie that was so egregious and so dangerous that if that were true, it would mean World War III and the end of the world. But it ain't true. So I don't care what Donald Trump said. I don't care if he lied about his golf game. I don't care if he lied about, a little bit of extracurricular activity with a porn star. All of that's Donald Trump's things. Joe Biden lied. And his lie was so egregious that if it were true, it would mean the end of humankind without question. It would mean that the US and Europe, all of NATO, would have to go to war with Russia, and of course North Korea, and of course China, which means nuclear Armageddon for all of us. So could Donald Trump have told a lie any bigger than that? I didn't hear Donald Trump tell a lie about, certainly he talked about Israel. Some of his things were distasteful. Some of the things I didn't like. But did Donald Trump anywhere in there tell a lie that if it were true, would have led to the end of all life on earth? No, but Joe Biden told one. So don't even talk to me about Trump's lies when you're telling extinction level lies. That's what that was. That was an extinction level lie. Now let's keep going. Getting to this, getting to where we were going. So we've already covered this. Right after the war started, right after it's not a war, it's actually a special military operation. Right after the special military operation started, Biden immediately said, this man can't remain in power, for God's sake, blah, blah, blah. Putin must go. The old Assad must go was Putin must go. What has happened since then? Well, a couple of things. And if you ever watch any of my shows with Jody Barr, she talks about something really powerful. And that is this. She refers to the imperialist powers, the U.S. and France and the U.K., etc. Right? Are they imperialist? You are what your record says you are. Did they go around the world killing and slaughtering people for the last several centuries, stealing their stuff and committing genocides? All of them? Yes, they did. So they are, in fact, imperialist powers. So, as Jody Barr talks about it, if you're going to take on the imperialist powers, you got to have your people behind you, because times could get tough, because you might have to take a punch. You know what I mean? If you ever listen to me, I say that you got to learn how to take a punch, right? You got to learn how to get hit. Your people have to be willing to take a punch. You know, people have to be willing to take a hit. Your people have to be willing to say, well, yeah, and that's what's happening right now. The attack on the Crimean beach. The every time you turn around, there's another drone hitting a bus full of handicapped children or something somewhere in the Volgograd region. You know, it's the Nazis are always constantly attacking civilians. They're losing on the battlefield, so they must constantly attack civilians. That's all they can do. That's what they're doing. And I might add, the U.S. empire, that's their history, is of terrorism. And also it's this insane idea they have that if they commit terrorist acts inside of a country, that somehow the people in that country won't get mad at the people that are committing terrorist acts. They'll get mad at those who their government, they'll blame them or something, right? So the U.S. is no doubt behind any number of terrorist attacks in Russia. And I'd say that in a fight, I use that as a euphemism, as a metaphor for taking a punch in a fight, or even a cut. As I said, if you ever if you ever study or practice defending yourself against, is in self-defense, it's considered edged weapons, right? You even at some point understand that I might have to block a knife and get cut, right? And if I'm going to get cut, maybe I don't want to get cut on this side because maybe I want to get cut here or someplace. If I'm going to get cut, if you're protecting something, right? I'm protecting my head. I might put that hand up to block, right? I may put my hand up. I put it on a little bit of an angle. Let me do this. I can't. I have my head. If I'm blocking, I'm blocking, right? I may have that on a little bit of an angle. So if a stick or a bat or something hits it, it goes down, but it might just hit and snap my head. But what's important? I mean, snap my arm. Which would you rather have? If somebody's coming down with a pipe or whatever, would you rather have them smack your skull, or would you rather throw up that block, right? Throw up that hand. And as it comes over, yeah, this thing screws me up. I can't put anything in the right place. But you know what I mean? You've got a arm over your head, and you want that to hit here and not here. So what happens? I would prefer a broken arm anywhere on here, broken hand, anything, as opposed to a noggin hit with this blunt object, because if it hits me on the head, I'm out of the fight. I'm maybe even dead. I'm out unconscious. If I'm unconscious, I am dead. They can kill me. So maybe I can take a broken arm is terrible pain, but then maybe I can come around with this hand. Maybe I can kick. Maybe I can do something with I can still fight with a broken arm, but I can't fight with a cracked head, right? You see what my point? I can still fight if I'm got slashed on the arm, but if they stick in your the main part of your, I mean, like an eighth of an inch deep, and they hit an organ and you're gone, you bleed out, right? So sometimes it's a matter of I will take a punch or I'll take a hit in a less vital area where I may have to deal with pain, but I'm still kicking. I take that punch, right? Okay, the Russians learned that. They took 27 million punches in during World War II. So here's my point: the Russians can take a punch. They can take a punch. This stuff that the U.S. is doing, with you people some people around the world might get freaked out. The Russians have to strike back. The Russians have to nuke somebody. They have to do something. The Russians know how to take a punch, and they understand that in a war you're going to have to take a punch. So the U.S. and its group of friends or its group of vassals are doing things to strike at Russia. As they lose on a battlefield, they're trying to strike at Russia with terrorist acts. But as I said, it ain't going to work because Russia understands. And might I add this? Vladimir Putin's a martial artist, isn't he? He has a black belt. He clearly understands that in a fight, you're going to have to take a punch. And it's much better to take a punch in a non-vital area. It's much better to throw that arm up and get a broken arm than it is not to throw it up and have that baseball bat clop me right on top of my pumpkin head, right? He understands that. He's going to take punches, and he's going to try to explain that to his people. Guys, we don't want to do this. Girls, we don't want to do that, because in Russia they only have 2 genders. Here, I think we got about 40, right? But it's a lot easier for him because he's only got to tell 2 genders, guys and girls. Hey, what do we do? If Biden names the genders, which he can, it takes him an hour. There's just look on the flag, all of those colors and shapes and sizes, he's got a lot of genders, so it takes a long time. That's probably why he was stuttering. He was confused about the number of genders in the audience. None, actually. At any rate, so let me continue. So what I'm saying is this. All that to get here. The Russians people are prepared for a long fight. They're prepared to take some shots here and there. If their government says this is what we got to do to win, they trust their government. Vladimir Putin has an 87% mandate. So if Vladimir Putin says, ladies and gentlemen, we got hit, again, they only got two genders in Russia, unlike here. Ladies and gentlemen, we got hit by this and that in Crimea and attack them, hack them, smack them, whatever. I will respond when I'm ready to respond, the way I'm ready to respond. I may be responding even right now in ways that you guys don't know. People will find out. I may be shipping certain weapons to certain people in certain parts of the country, of the world that I can't say, but trust me, I'm going to deal with this. He's got an 87% mandate, right? There's a war going on, and the people trust him. So even when he takes a hit, they take a hit. Even when they get hit, oh my gosh, attack them. You know, they were furious and they were waiting. And when Vladimir Putin goes on TV and say, guys, look, we took another punch. Hey, man, you know, I feel bad. We're doing everything we can. But look, let's be honest. They're going to keep throwing drones and we're going to take some punches here. Little punches, not big ones compared to what we've had in the past. But trust me, we're on the field. We're going to kick their asses till there ain't nothing left. We're going to grind this thing to a pulp. And when we get finished with that so-called army, NATO won't be able to come in because there won't be anything left for them to prop up. We won't have to take Odessa. We will casually saunter into Odessa because there ain't going to be no army there to protect that. When we get finished with this army, there ain't going to be nothing left. There won't be anything to go into NATO. If they say, hey, can the Ukrainian army go into NATO? Well, in theory it could, but there ain't nobody to do that. And let me ask you this. Do you think the few men between the ages of 14 and 97 who survive are going to be like willing? If the government says, all right, the war's over, and the guy's like, I can't believe I survived the war. And the government says, I got good news. They're going to be like, what? Well, okay. What's left of Ukraine, there ain't much. Okay, here's what's going to happen. NATO's going to come in, and they're going to be like, who's going to come where? Yeah, and all your young guys, yeah, we're going to train you up for war. We're going to give you the best equipment, and we're going to really get set so we can go back and get them Russians again. And what's left of Ukrainian military, Ukrainian men are going to be like, yeah, I don't think so, dude. We had a taste of that. The answer is no. So I think the Russians are going to grind this thing to a pulp. And when it gets finished, NATO will have no alternatives. All of their equipment will be gone. Their proxy war will be turned to mush. Ukraine ain't going to be much of nothing. It's going to be broke. They're going to beat Ukraine like a beanbag chair until there's nothing left. NATO, hey, when are you going to come in now? Look at this. Look at this. All your equipment has been dashed to pieces. All their equipment has been dashed to pieces. Their whole army's been dashed to pieces. What are you going to prop up now? And in order to get that done, they're going to be willing to take a punch. And Vladimir Putin got 87% approval rating, 87% of the votes, which means 87% of the country gave him a mandate, which means they're going to do it. That when he says to them, we got to take a punch, they're going to say, okay, hey, man, we don't want to do it. We don't like it. We wish you'd punch back a little harder, but we trust you. We trust you. We trust you to lead us. We trust you to protect us. You've done so good. So far, so good. Part of that is why? Because he delivered for him. Because Vladimir Putin came in around 2000. This is not pro-Putin. This is not anti-Putin. As Malcolm X said, if the truth is anti-American, don't blame me. Blame the truth. So if these facts are pro-Putin or anti-American or pro-American or anti-European, I don't give a hell what they are. If these facts are being interpreted by somebody as pro or negative something, don't blame me, blame these facts. Vladimir Putin came in around 2000 and Russia was in rough shape. It was broke. The neoliberals had gone there and raped and pillaged economically and taken and stolen everything they could. And Putin came in, he got some order back in the country, got things under control somewhat. I'm not saying Russia is perfect. It's an oligarchy, just like the United States is an oligarchy. People are like, Russia's an oligarchy. Oh, really? Unlike the United States? Anyway, so he got things settled. He got the economy going. He got the military very, very strong. He got the technological situation back going. And he got the respect of the country. The people in the country now feel respected worldwide. They feel proud to say, I'm a Russian. They feel proud to fly their flag. They look at Africa and they see these African people running around waving a Russian flag. They look in South America, they're waving a Russian flag. They look at Haiti, they're waving a Russian flag. They ain't waving an American flag, they're burning it. They're peeing on it. They're putting American and Israeli flags on the ground, and they're burning them. They're burning them in effigy. They ain't doing that to the Russian flag, are they? He has brought Russia back. This is facts to world respectability all throughout the global South, especially. Forget the wokies in the West. He's brought them back to respectability, like it or not. It doesn't matter. He's brought them back to economic success. Russia is a wealthy country, just past Germany is the third wealthiest country, or richest country on earth, a third or fourth, whatever it is. It's up there. It's in the top 5, well up in the top 5 now. And it was impoverished, when he took over. It had been robbed blind. And now they've got a powerful military. They've got incredible military technology, and they're building diplomatic relations all over the world. They're tight with China and North Korea and all over the place. And right now, Russia holds the presidency of BRICS, and every country in the world wants to join BRICS. They want to join them so much that Russia can't let them all in. I mean, Russia and the BRICS people can't let them all in, right? They're selling oil, they're selling everything. Okay. He is delivering for his people. So he's got a mandate, 87%. Okay. So what happened? Joe Biden said Putin can't, God knows, this man's got to go, for God's sake, whatever. He's out of here, blah, blah, blah. Now, what has happened since then? Last time I checked, Schultz had like barely a double digit, 14%, something like that approval rating, which is basically friends and family. Right. Germany is the laughing stock of the world. You want to talk about the laughing stock of the world? The entire world looks at Germany and says, your president was castrated. That's basically what it was. He was politically castrated. Joe Biden, of all incompetent, bumbling, mumbling fools. I mean, he wasn't just politically castrated, but it would be one thing if it was some powerful guy. If it was China's powerful. And Xi Jinping's a big, strong-looking guy, tough-looking guy. He looks like he really knows what's going on. And if Xi Jinping came and he gave Schultz what for, why not, don't do it again, you could give Schultz a break. You could be like, hey, I understand, but hey, man, China's powerful. They got a lot of money. You can't really fight back or stand up to them, man. Hey, it is what it is. You had to deal with it, right? But nope, wasn't Xi Jinping, wasn't Putin, no, wasn't some tough guy. Maybe the guy at Saudi Arabia could have did it because everybody has to buy oil from him, whatever his name is, MBS, maybe him. He might have humiliated. Nope, wasn't him. It was a guy who cannot put a coherent thought together to save his stinking demented life. That guy dragged Olaf Scholz out in front of a camera and just castrated him, just took out a ragged old buck knife, grabbed him by the doodads and just sliced him off, threw him over his shoulder. And you know what? He literally, you talk about all this business about non-gendered and about people getting misgendered, disgendered, gender conversion therapy. You know what? That's pretty much what happened to Scholz. What he got was a public gender conversion therapy by Joe Biden. Joe Biden did gender conversion therapy, and he didn't even give him any anesthetic. Nope. He pulled out a rusty old buck knife that he just finished cutting fishing bait with. That's what he did. And he grabbed him, whoop, sliced him off, threw him away. And you know what? And Schultz thanked them for doing it. Thank you, sir. Certainly appreciate that. I mean, let's face it, he wasn't using them. Of what value would they be to Schultz? They generate testosterone and pump it into your body. Testosterone is a foreign substance to Olaf Scholz. That guy does not want to be anywhere near testosterone. So the fact of the matter is, he got castrated in front of the entire world. And then afterwards, Biden went and finished his gender transition therapy for Schultz and when he blew up the Nord Stream. He told her, think about this. How bad is this? He said to Schultz, you sissy, you punk, you wimp, you lily-livered, pencil-necked geek. I will do whatever I want in your country, and you're going to take it. And Schultz was like, sir, master. And he blew it up. And then after he blew up the pipeline, he called Schultz over and berated it, probably slapped him around some more, right? And Schultz just stood there and took that and went back home. So Schultz has, Olaf Schultz has embarrassed and humiliated his country, himself. He has humiliated his ancestors. He has humiliated any group that he belongs to, religious, gender, any group that guy is in has been wholly, completely humiliated by his very presence. If I was Olaf Schultz, I'd just end it all now. I'd just go say, you know what, there's no point in me being on this earth anymore. I mean, I've humiliated my family, my community, my country, my continent. He's humiliated and degraded and embarrassed the entire human race. Sometimes I'm embarrassed. Sometimes I just wake up and I look at a picture of Olaf Schultz and it reminds me he's a human. And then I just think to myself, my God, I'm a human too. Why couldn't I have been born, I don't know, a millipede or something like that? A millipede would be better because I don't want to be a member of the same species as that rat, castrated, non-gendered bastard. Oh, what a piece of crap he is. So he's so-called leader of Germany. The leader of Germany has barely double digits. So bottom line is this. Is Schultz in charge nominally? And of course, he's got Annalena Baerbock, I can't use the word I want, but let's just say the mentally deficient Nazi. God, is it possible for somebody to be stupider than Annalena Baerbock? Is that even humanly possible? I mean, Joe Biden has an excuse. His brain is Swiss cheese. It's, at least he can Joe Biden once was sharp. He really was. He was never all that bright. If you really know Joe Biden, he was never the sharpest knife in the drawer, but he could be a pretty good politician at times. He could come across as one, never too bright, but he could at least come across. He could stand up for himself. He could make a statement that sounded like it made sense. He could. He can't now, but he could. Annalena Baerbock, clueless. And she's more of a man than Olaf Schultz. She's more of a man than Olaf Schultz will ever be. And she's just a pile of ignorant manure. And beside her, Olaf Schultz is just a rag doll, right? So you got that. You got Schultz. He's finished. Even though he's in office, I mean, he's only in office in name. He's ceremonially, from a ceremonial perspective, he is in charge of, he's holding the job of office of chancellor or something like that from a ceremonial perspective. When Biden castrated him on television by saying, I'll take care of Nord Stream, and then he took care of Nord Stream, and then Schultz pretty much thanked him for doing it, it was over for him. It was obvious. At that point, people were like, well, we thought you were the Chancellor of Germany, but obviously you're just a eunuch. You're a political eunuch, so it is what it is. So you have a man who, Schultz, we can't even count him, really. If you'll notice, in my little list of people, right, I put Biden, Macron, and Sunak. They're all at least men, not much of men. Trudeau, I didn't put him in because, again, if there's anybody who has less testosterone in his body than Olaf Schultz, it's Justin Trudeau. I mean, Annalena Baerbock, once again, she may not be the sharpest knife in the drawer. She may be about as sharp as a wet match in a dark cave, but even then, she's got more testosterone in her body than Justin Trudeau and Olaf Schultz put together. So I'll put it like this. I put those three names up because I don't like them, can't stand them, but at least I can, as a man, I can look at them and I can say, those men are jerks, right? I can at least put them in the category of male, right? I got to say, when I look at, I ain't much in this multi-gender thing, of course. You know me. I mean, I'm like not here. I'm just saying my daughter was born. I remember looking at the birth certificate and the options were M and F. I don't remember a lot of other options, so I'm not getting into that. Sex, male, female. The rest of this gender stuff, I'm an old guy. I don't get into that. I don't know about it, right? But I'm just saying I might have to make some adjustments. And if I do, it's going to be due to Justin Trudeau and Olaf Scholz because they're not men. They clearly ain't women. There's got to be a third gender at least. There's got to be a category for me to put these people in. It would be disrespectful to all men on earth to call Justin Trudeau and Olaf Scholz a male, man, anything like that. I feel like if I did that, I couldn't go out into the forest because like bears and other male animals would attack me. And they'd be like, dude, did you really put us in the same category as these guys? I'd be like, yeah, I guess I did. They tear me to shreds. I get mauled by a grizzly before the sun goes down. That's guaranteed. And, you know, I'd really have it coming because that would be disrespectful to all men. Do you ever look at Trudeau? What's up with this guy? You know what I'm just saying? What's up with this guy? What the hell is this gender? Is this dude? His legs are crossed. He's so prim and proper, but he's not supposed to be gay. I mean, if he was gay, I'd have more respect for him. Somebody needs to come to me and say, you know, Justin Trudeau's gay. I'd say, oh, well, you know what? It all makes sense now. Okay, yeah. I mean, he's an asshole. You don't have to be asshole because you're gay, but I could say, I knew he wasn't a man. I knew he was something. There was something about him. Okay. I'd have more. I mean, okay. I'm all right with the dude, man. I hate Justin Trudeau. He's gay. Come on, come on out of the closet there, Justin. I hate your policies, but I understand at least what you are, you know. But no, he ain't doing that. He's just going to continue wandering the face of the earth, a sullen soul, a low-life bag of crap, manure, like Olaf Scholz, frustrating me as I try to contemplate how I could possibly actually really ever believe that there was a third gender. But maybe gender is the wrong term. Maybe I need to come up with another term for what they are. Species, perhaps. Maybe we'll go in that direction, but these guys are done, finished. They did not. You look at the title. Biden, Macron, and Sunak are finished. You notice Trudeau and Knowles, and I thought about Trudeau, Scholz. Should I put their names? I can't. No. Maybe, you know what? Maybe they deserve their own separate video. That's what it is. I mean, these guys are unique creatures in the animal kingdom. So maybe we'll do a separate video for them. We'll try to figure out this whole gender species thing, how it applies to them, and we'll go to work from there. Okay, so stay tuned for the future. But as for now, let's talk about actual guys who are in charge of something. So we've determined that Vladimir Putin's got an 87% mandate to do what the hell he wants. That's why they can take a punch. All right. And we determined that Joe Biden said that Vladimir Putin, for God's sake, can't stay in power. That's the details we got so far. Let's start running through Macron, a banker who married his grandmother, apparently, who was at that time a teacher. You know, she was like 41 and Macron was like 16 or 15. You know what? I mean, he was like the opposite Epstein Island thing going on. Think about that. His wife was the Epstein Islander, and she didn't have to go to Epstein Island. I mean, here's what I gotta understand. I would think that these so-called liberals would look at that and say, hey, that's terrible. Why a teacher abused a young man, especially if a woman did it to a young boy. Can we be honest for a second? You're not allowed to do this in the real world, but on our show, we can be honest because, like, I just grew up. Yeah, my dad was a longshoreman. Come on, you know the kind of stuff I heard. You know how the kind of language longshoremen used on the docks. He wore a hard hat. You know what I mean? He'd drink a shot every now and then. He had a shotgun. He went rabbit hunting. Okay, so let's just say I didn't grow up in a pampered environment. He was old school, tough guy. Okay, so It is what it is. And then I was a law enforcement officer for 27 years. So trust me, I'm going to say what I got to say. I can give a damn who likes it. From a guy's perspective, how many of us in school looked at like a hot teacher? Let's face it, our teachers were like 25. We're like 16, 17, right? And they were like in the prime of their lives. And when you were like in 10th grade, you're looking at your teacher. And if your teacher had said, hey, let's fool around, a 16-year-old guy would have been like, ooh, man, I'm going in. Now, you're not allowed to say that to women. And so please forgive me, all the women are watching, because you're not allowed to say that in mixed company. Guys, you're not allowed to say that. But it's true. If you got a 16-year-old son, trust me, he's peeping at the teachers. 15, 16, 14, maybe even 12. He's looking at the teachers and he's thinking things that he ain't going to come home to mommy and tell. He's looking at the teachers and teacher comes in and he's like, oh, man, wouldn't I like to? Right? So from a guy's perspective, let's face it, let's be honest. A guy thinks to himself, 41-year-old teacher, maybe she was hot at that time. You know what a guy's thinking? Truth. Women, forgive me. No, don't forgive me. Understand the truth. What a guy is thinking, what a kid, not a guy, a kid's thinking at 16 years old, and some hot teacher, does the illegal and unthinkable. The 16-year-old is thinking, you lucky bastard. Woo-hoo-hoo, don't tell me you and the teacher in the back room. Yeah, all right. They're high-fiving it. I ain't saying it's right. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying I approve of it. I'm not saying I'm in favor of it. So somebody there says, I have a 13-year-old son. Then you know what time it is. Come on. What do you think these kids are hiding Playboy, X-rated magazines or, Pornhub or something on their... Real. It's true. Be thankful for they're doing that. It means they're real. Maybe they'll procreate and you'll have grandkids. That's how those things work, okay? Let's not pretend it's not real. So Macron, one could argue from a perspective of a crude and unsophisticated male, which I've been most of my life, one could look at it and say, ooh, a 41-year-old teacher, you lucky son Mitch, right? But here's the thing about it. Okay, let's just say it happened. Illegal. I don't approve of it. Shouldn't happen. Blah, blah, blah. All of those things that I have to say. So I won't be labeled some lowlife. It'll be all over YouTube. Oh, Garland's in favor of pedophilia. No, I'm just saying that I'm real. Not everybody else is as real as me. And every guy here knows, because all you guys know what I know. You can remember which teacher you had a crush on. Right. You can remember, man. I remember when I was in 9th grade, we had this new teacher that came in. Ooh, Miss Krause. When I was in 7th grade, Miss Krause, that was her name. She came in and she was hot as fire. And all the little boys were running around. Oh, man. Let me tell you something. When she called a little boy to stand up and go to the front board, they didn't want to go. And I'm not going to say it to the women, but I think all the guys know why this little boy didn't want to stand up and walk up to the front board, because there was an embarrassing situation going on that was out of his control. That's real. Okay. Anyway, so we start with Macron. He married his teacher. Now people are like, she's a dude or whatever. I don't know all of that. I'm just saying, I would think that the liberal class would say, oh, that's terrible, unacceptable. That was a young woman taking advantage of a young man. It is what it is, but that's some weird shit. And if you look at it right now, my God, you know what I mean? Let's face it. You look at Macron, let's be honest. He's a pretty good looking guy. He may be a piece of crap, a banker, a stooge and all that, but he's a decent looking guy. He goes in the bar, he can pick up some babes. And he's married to his great grandmother. How uncool is that, right? So he deserves whatever he gets. That's all I'm saying. And you know what? Some guys, I don't know, 16 and 40? Yeah. 16 and 40? Yeah. She's like 70 years old. He's like 12. Whatever the case. It's Macron. I ain't going to hate on him. It's his life, his choice. But at 16, can you really choose a woman that's 41? You barely know what sex is. But at any rate, it is what it is. I guess I'm getting, away from things here. I'm just saying that's some weird stuff that went on with Macron and his so-called wife. I don't know about that. And then the liberal class just accepts that and cheers for him. But at any rate, so you got Macron, who comes back to France and he could give a crap about the French people. You know, the only thing he has to say is, look, here's Marine Le Pen. Then, of course, every other week, hey, let's send troops to Russia. How many troops you got? We got 1,500. Oh, great. How many troops Russia got? About 800,000, I think they got 700,000. We'll send 2,000 beret-wearing, baguette-eating bastards. I mean, I'm just being facetious. I mean, I don't want to disrespect the French troops. They're probably decent men. They don't want to go. They're probably decent guys saying, do not send us to Ukraine to be... So they're going to drop fab 3,000-pound bombs on us, and we'll be dead in an hour. Dude, let's not do this. Let's try. How about we try, I don't know, negotiation or something? You're going to send 2,000 guys to a certain death at the hands of the same Red Army that wiped out Hitler's army. You're going to send 1,500 guys there. What are we going to have? A bottle of wine and some hard crusted bread? Well, we won't have time to drink and eat it. We're dead men. And so, needless to say, at some point, the people of France said, yeah, we ain't moving in that direction. This idiot says, hey, I know, I will really seize power here. Why? I'll have a snap election, and I'm sure to get a mandate then. Yeah, he ain't getting a mandate. He ain't winning. He's on his way down, down, down. For God's sake, as Joe Biden said, what did he say? Let me read this. For God's sake, this man cannot remain in power. That's what the people of France are saying about Macron. Now, let us continue. Rishi Sunak. Now there is, I'm not even going to call him a man. He is at best an amalgamation of atoms. You know, I still remember this, and you forgive me if you've heard this story before. I still remember Joe Biden coming to England to meet with supposed Sunak, right? And Sunak was standing there, and Biden lands, and he walks up, right? But meanwhile, there was like some pasty old white dude standing behind him. I mean, when I say, I mean, he had a white beard, white mustache. He had on like a military looking uniform or something. So he's standing behind Rishi Sunak. I didn't know who the hell he was, right? Biden walks up to Sunak, and Sunak, yeah, I tell you what Sunak looked like. If you've ever had a dog, and you've gone away for a week and you leave the dog with a friend, whatever, in a kennel, whatever. And of course, the dog, after a while, thinks you're never coming back, right? The dog's like, oh my God, I'm never going to see my master or whatever, you know, my friend again. And at some point you come back and open the door and the dog sees you. And you know how, especially if you've got a mutt, you know, the old Heinz 57 sauce dog that's 50 different kind of, they're the happiest in the world to see you. And what the dog, you've seen this, they don't just wag their tail. Their entire body like wiggles like a snake. You ever see a dog? They're like, no, no, and they go crazy and they run over and they start hopping. There was some running around in circles. I remember I had my sister's dog and she was gone for like 2 weeks. And she came back and the dog was in the back room. And I guess my sister came in and he heard her in the front, right? He came running out so fast, he couldn't put on brakes, and it was a wooden floor. He tried to put on brakes. He slid into the floor, into the wall, bam, right? And kind of like knocked himself together. And he got himself together, and he jumps up, and he's running around in circles, and he's pawing, and he's pinning, and his whole body's wiggling, right? You know, dogs are awesome. You got to love dogs. They do that stuff, right? Why did I say all that? Because that's what Rishi Sunak looked like. Joe Biden, his master, was there. His imperial master came to see him. Oh, Master Joe Biden came to see me. Oh my God. He was like a fan that saw, like, you know, Michael Jackson or Michael Jordan or whoever, you know, a fan of some great player. But, you know, oh my God, it's Pele. You know, you're a soccer fan. And you'd be like, oh my God, it's Pele. God rest his soul, but it's Pele. People would go berserk, right? There are people who are football fans who would go bananas if they met Pele, right? That's what Sunak looked like. His whole body was wiggling. He sticks his hand out, and Joe Biden did exactly what Sunak had coming. He looks at him, he looks by him, and he reaches over and starts talking to the guy in the suit behind him. Like, this is the way I interpret it. Little brown boy, you mean nothing to me. Your job is to shut up. Your job is to keep the seat warm until we decide who we want to put in it. It's to do our bidding, to shut your mouth, to know your place, and to sit down and look like the little rat that you are. And that's what he did. And Joe Biden disrespected him. What do you know what Joe Biden did then? He castrated him again. He castrated him in public. He gave him the same thing he gave Olaf Scholz, gender conversion therapy, right in front of a crowd. Unfucking believable. And what did that little rat do? He did the same thing that Scholz did. He shut his mouth, he smiled, and he basically thanked Joe Biden for castrating him. Joe Biden's castrating these European elite clowns like it was nothing, and Joe Biden can't even remember their names. So you got him. Okay, so he's castrated Olaf Scholz. This guy's done. He snipped, as they say about dogs, he snipped Rishi Sunak. He's finished. He's done. And now Rishi Sunak's not just going to lose. Oh, no. He's not going to lose. His entire party is going to be annihilated, wiped out, destroyed, removed from the face of this earth for all times. Now, don't get me wrong. There's not like there's a great option for him. They've set up these other putzes. But the bottom line is, he just completely is gone. He's done. He got castrated, and his entire party is now going to be castrated. Right? Macron, of course, he'll be running around with his grandmother. I guess, I don't know, spending his Rothschild bank money and, doing whatever because he's about to lose, and Le Pen or Bordella or whoever the hell it is going to be in power. But he's done. He's finished. He followed Biden. He made all of this noise about sending 1,500 or 2,000 troops over to face 700,000 crack Russian trained, battle hardened troops. And I don't know why. I mean, I find it quite confusing. But for some strange reason, the French people didn't exactly take that as a good move. Hey, what are you going to do? All right, here's what I'm doing. I'm taking 2,000 of your sons and daughters. Yeah. I'm going to ship them to the Russian border. Oh, really? What for? They're going up against 700,000 angry Russians armed to the teeth and pissed as hell. And for some reason, the French people looked at that and said, I just don't feel like you're leading us in the right direction. I know you find that shocking. But for some reason, the French people, you just can't please them. And they just looked at it and said, yeah, we're going to probably go in another direction, dude. This is not working for us. So he's done. They didn't have to castrate him. I mean, he's married to his great-grandmother. I don't think he has any use for those things anymore. Let's just say that. I don't think those particular parts of his body are being used on a regular basis as basically, if you think about it, think about this. There's the perfect couple. Joe Biden and Macron's mother, grandmother, wife, whatever the hell she is, right? The perfect couple. They could wander around aimlessly together and stare at each other. They could, try to figure out which one is older because neither of us can figure out which one is older. They're done, both of them. And might I add, it isn't really about age. I mean, I laugh and joke, but I ain't the youngest. Let's face it, I'm not the youngest chicken in the coop myself. But I'm just saying, it ain't about age. It's about Joe Biden's brain being Swiss cheese, okay? And I've never heard Macron's wife utter a word, so I don't know anything about her. I don't understand French, so if she did say something, I wouldn't understand it. I'm just saying he's married to his grandmother. That's not a good look, Macron. That's what I'm telling you. That's not a good look. But you do what you want. Your choice. It ain't up to me. I'm just saying maybe you should have waited until maybe you were 25 or 30. Perhaps you'd have made a better choice than choosing a woman who was born during the Roman Empire. Okay. So, basically, Sunak's done. Scholz castrated. Macron married to a mummy from the, I don't know, the time of the pharaoh or something. And let's get to Biden. I think we need to hear a word from Biden again before this thing goes any further. Let's do one since we've gotten back to Biden anyway. I think we should let the man speak for himself, for God's sake. Let the man speak for himself. Anything else is unfair.
Both are making sure that we're able to make every single solitary person eligible for what I've been able to do with with the COVID. Excuse me, with dealing with everything we have to do with. Look, if we finally beat Medicare, we're trying to provide housing for Black Americans. The impact on the choice, the idea that they're gonna. I'm proposing that everybody the millionaires pay 1%, 1%. So no one I've not raised the cost of Social Security for anybody. I got my handicap, which when I was vice president, down to a 6. And wants to get away with, get rid of the ability of Medicare for us to be able to negotiate drug prices with the big pharma companies. What I'm going to do is fix the tax system. For example, we have 1,000 trillionaires in America. I mean, billionaires in America. No one was hurt. No one Israeli was accidentally killed, and it stopped. And I'm going to continue to move until we get the total ban on the total initiative relative to what we're going to do with more border patrol and more asylum officers.
All righty. Yeah, okay there, right? Look, someone said, oh, Garland's hard on the ladies over 60. As I said, I'm not the youngest guy in the world, but everything is relative, right? Everything is relative. It's like a small planet, a large or a small galaxy. Man, that galaxy sure is small. It's only 500 light years across, right? So when I talk about Macron's wife, it's in the context of who she's married to. If she was, I don't know what she is, probably 70 years old. That's not really that old, but I'm just saying, if she was married to a guy that was 60, okay. But she's married to a guy that's like, I don't know, 19, for God's sake. Let's face it, that's how old he was. So from the perspective of context of a large versus a small planet, how about a large versus a small? Well, that sure is a small elephant. But you look at the size of that bacteria. That's one of the biggest bacteria we have ever seen. What a gigantic one-celled creature that is, right? Here, bring me my electron microscope so I can get a good picture of this giant virus, right? So my point is not that Macron's wife is old or young, but relatively speaking, the whole situation's weird. That's all I'm trying to say. All right, let's continue. Let's get to Biden. Because remember, for God's sake, Putin can't stay in office. Joe Biden spoke for himself. You know, the best part of that video was the look on Trump's face when Joe Biden said he was a 6 handicap, right? He's like, you know, he's just like, I was, I got when I was playing golf and I got to a 6 handicap, and Trump's like, oh, you know what Trump was thinking? You got to be shitting me, right? Let me find it. I got to find that. See if I can find it. I got to find it. Here we go. Watch this. You got to look at Trump's face. This is hilarious. This is, to me, the best part. So Joe Biden says that he has that he has the 6 handicap, right? Let's look. Let's look at. Take note at the look on Trump's face when Joe Biden says he got his handicap down to a 6.
Down to a 6. Yeah.
Look at that.
And wants to get away with.
It doesn't. Trump's looking like he's got to look away. He's ready to laugh so hard that he's got to like put his face away from the camera. You know, the look on Trump's face says, you have got to be shitting me. I know. Look. You could say, yes, that was a large fish I caught. It was 5 pounds. Okay, and let's say the fish was only 3 pounds. Okay, all right. And a buddy of yours saw the fish, right? And you say, yeah, that was a 5 pounder there. And your buddy's going to be like, okay, yeah, 3 pound fish. But your buddy's going to be like, but he's a guy, and we lie about the size of our fish, amongst other things, right? And so the guy's not going to think anything of it. Yeah, it's my buddy. What was he doing? He took a 3 pound fish and turned it into a 5 pound fish. Certainly cool, right? But if it's like it was a 3 pound fish, and you go, let me tell you something. I was fighting that fish for hours. And just when that fish, he looked at me and he was like, you're going to die. I'm going to kill you. And I said, no, fish, you're going to die. And I reeled him in, I weighed him, and he was 187 pounds, right? And your buddy's thinking that was a 3 pound bass. He caught it as 187 pounds, and it was a talking fish. What the hell? And your buddy's going to be like, because he's going to know that what you're saying is so preposterous that everybody's going to be like, did you hear about Garland? What? Well, he told us he caught a bass. It was 187 pounds. People are going to be like, but bass don't get to 187 pounds. I know that, and you know that, but apparently Garland doesn't, right? That's the look that Trump had on his face. Joe Biden had a 6th handicap. Now, keep in mind something. He couldn't walk off the stage by himself. His wife came, grabbed him by the hand, and helped him off the stage. And that may have been the worst part of the debate. It may have been worse than his bumbling and stumbling and mumbling and you name it. Because when she helped him off the stage, he looked like if he took one wrong step, he was going to hit the ground. She had his hand, and he's like, one step, one. Okay, you made it, Joe. Good job. Good job. You know how they say that to little kids? Like my daughter always says that to like babies, right? Good job. Hey, you didn't poop yourself, little Billy. Good job. Right? That's what you say. Good job. The first time they did use the toilet, right? They used a little Tommy toilet, it's purple and red, and it has a little horn. He goes, wah, wah, wah. And the little Bobby goes down, and first time he uses the toilet, and you say, good job. And he's like, and he's happy, and you wash his little hands, and you take him and you give him a nice little something that he likes, and he nibbles on it, and he's happy, right? Because he did a good job. Did you have a feeling that as Joe Biden was bringing Joe Biden down the steps, every time he stepped one, and he didn't go 1 step, 2 step, 3 step, 4 steps, 2 feet, 1 foot comes down the step, the other one comes beside it, and now both feet are on the same steps. And he like looks and gets himself steady. Okay, all right, I made it one. And you had a feeling that Joe was whispering to him saying, good job, Joe. Good job. And he just smiling. And then she was going, geez, he pooped himself again. Oh my God. See, I had a feeling, actually, if you want to be honest, when Joe Biden like would kind of strain, you saw a couple times where he'd be talking and he'd go, yeah, and blah, 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 like that Tourette syndrome kind of thing, right? When he'd be like, yeah, and I think Medicare, right? When he looked like he was straining, if anybody ever have a baby and you look over at the baby and they got a diaper on and you see the baby has that look on their face like they're straining, and you're like, oh boy, I think I know what that means. And you pick the baby up and you take them out of the room and you kind of hold your nose a little bit. Oh boy. And they're a baby, and you take them and you clean them up and you get them all straight and you put powder on their little feet and you bring them back and they're grinning, right? Because when a baby looks like he's straining, I think we all know what that means, right? When I saw Joe Biden doing the old that looked like he was straining, I thought, I bet it's probably pretty much the same dynamic as my daughter when she was little. I bet somewhere his wife's like watching it and she's seeing him straining and she's like, oh my God, I'm going to have to change his depends as soon as he get off stage. That's why she probably came out. She probably had like a little clothespin or something on her nose. And she like kept him away. Hey, can we talk to Joe Biden? No, we'll just keep a little distance from you from Joe Biden for right now until we get him in the back room for a minute or two. We'll be back out to talk to you. But right now, we'll get old Joe here and get him cleaned up a little bit, tidied up. freshen up. Yes, sir. We'll get him here and freshen up, and you look and like she's got a big bag, like a baby bag. Anybody ever have a baby where you got to take them and you bring a bag with you? You got diapers, you got wipes, you got, A&D ointment and all the things that you have for a baby. That if you looked at Jill Biden's bag and she opened it up, you're like, why does Jill Biden always carry such a big bag? That's a large bag. She's not a young. What does she have in that bag? Pretty much the same principle. She's got Joe's diapers in there. She's got some powder to freshen them up. She's got a clothespin to put on her nose when she's cleaning them up. You know what I mean? I mean, it's not a good situation, but unfortunately, come on. She'd be far better if she just said, I'm sorry, he can't do it anymore. Let's take him back to Delaware and we'll roll him out in the sun every morning, give him some ice cream and roll him back in. It's her fault. She's got to clean this guy up after he strains his face during the debate and most unfortunate and untimely things happen. And now she's putting herself in that position. So I feel sorry for her. I feel sorry for him. But of course, they put themselves in that position. So be it, right? So be it. So there we go. That's the end of the story. I don't think there's anywhere else to go. I think I've gone through all of them. But now, as I said, Macron, we've got the regime change curse. Macron and Sunak and Biden at least are kind of male creatures. So I'll say they were involved in very poor management of their countries. And as a result of that, they lost. Justin Trudeau, now I'll say one thing different about the Trudeau. I did say that Biden actually applied gender conversion therapy, as we may say, to Rishi Sunak and Schultz both, right? He castrated both of those guys, done. He didn't have to do that to Sunak. There was nothing there to castrate. I'm sure he looked and he said, I'm going to cut off. What the hell? There's nothing to cut off. My God, what is this man? So, I mean, come to think about it. So he was born, maybe, actually, the truth is that the matter is, people are born with various deformities, and there are people born with deformities of their genitalia. And that's nothing to joke about. That's a fact. That's a fact. I've known people in the medical industry that had people they had to treat. So perhaps I'm maybe really doing a bad thing to make a joke about a guy named Trudeau who was likely born with no genitalia at all. I mean, there was nothing to cut off. So, maybe I should back off this guy. It's really not nice to go after someone who can't help the way they were born. But so Trudeau's he is what he is. He's not on the list. And Schultz ain't on the list. They don't get to be on the list, either one of them. But the entire band of schmucks that Biden got together to say, hey, look, we're all backing Zelensky and Putin's got to go within no time flat. Biden will be gone probably in weeks. I mean, what are they going to run this guy? Macron, he's about to have an election within days. I think we know how that's going to turn out. Sunak's got an election coming, humiliation, degradation, and gender conversion therapy at the polls is coming for him. Biden, the one thing about Biden is he won't even know he lost. He'll think they can tell Joe Biden. Yeah, I guarantee you right now, when Joe Biden gets in a car, when he gets in like the limousine, they sit him up front and they give him. When I was a kid, we used to have these toys. You might have seen them. I don't know if you had them in your country. Plastic steering wheels. And I had the good one. Mine was red and it had a little wheel on it, right? Mine had little lights where you push the blinkers to blink right or left. Had a little, and now back then, my speedometer was literally a sticker. They had stuck the speedometer, a little sticker on. That was the speedometer, a little thing on there, right? And I had a little drive. I think it said easy driver with dad or something like that, right? My dad, being an old school dude, always had a pickup truck, right? He drives the pickup truck. He turns right. I put on my plastic blinker steering wheel and I turn right and turn my wheel. I'm watching him. He turns his wheel. I turn my wheel this way. I felt like I was driving a truck at some point. I literally felt like my wheels had some input. There's Joe Biden. He won't know. Hey, what's going on? How's the campaign? They could drop him out next week. Joe Biden said, how's the campaign going? Going pretty good there, Joe. How come I haven't been asked to do any events lately? Oh, we're just busy. Don't worry about that. We got people out there speaking for you. We'll let you know when we need you to do another event. They don't have to tell Joe Biden he's out. They can tell him he's still in. They can tell him he's still in the White House. They can take him. They can just like paint his house in Delaware white and take him there and say, he'll say, where are we now? We're at the White House, Joe. Oh, great. All right, good. Where's the Secret Service? Yeah, they're right over there. What are we going to do now? We're going to walk down to the beach and go fishing. Maybe we'll catch a couple fish. Don't you want to put your feet in the water, Joe? Yeah, okay. He'll stumble around, fall face down in the water. I have to pull him out so he doesn't drown. But they don't. That's the beauty of Joe Biden, of taking him off the ticket. They don't have to tell him. They don't have to, no reason to tell Joe Biden he's not on the ticket, off the ticket. Tell him he's on the ticket. Tell him, take him to Burger King to eat and just say, this is a campaign event. And he'll sit down and he'll wave at everybody as they're going by. And they'll know who it is. Oh, that's Joe Biden. Hey, how you doing there, Genocide Joe? Right? He'll wave, hey. And somebody will walk by and say, screw you, Genocide Joe. And he'll say, oh, the protesters are at this one, huh? Yeah, Joe, there's protesters at this one. Oh, yeah, we got to overlook those protesters. Got to stand up for Israel. Yeah, Joe, stand up for Israel. He won't know. That's great. It's an easy one. He's the easiest one. You can do anything you want. Just tell him he won. He's done. Or wait till after the election day and just say, bad news, Joe. We fought the good battle, but you didn't win. I lost to Trump. Trump, he doesn't know what he's doing. Yeah, we know. He's the whiner. Yeah, he's a whiner. He's the liar and the crook. Yeah, he sure is, Joe. Well, how do we lose to him? Well, that's the way the ball bounces, Joe. You can tell him anything. That's the great thing about him. Anyway, well, gang, I think we figured it all out. I think we got it good. So that's it. The regime change curse. Everybody said to Putin, you got to go. Putin can't be allowed to win. They can't possibly let this guy win. The whole world will crash if he wins, right? Well, here's what I'm going to do, just for, as they say, shits and giggles. We're going to get one more. I know it's wrong. I don't feel good about what I'm about to do, but let's get a parting word from our fearless leader.
Folks, how are you? Making sure that we're able to make every single solitary person eligible for what I've been able to do with the COVID. Excuse me, with dealing with everything we have to do with. Look, if we finally beat Medicare, we're trying to provide housing for Black Americans. The impact on the choice, the idea that they're gonna, I'm proposing that everybody, the millionaires pay 1%. So no one I've not raised the cost of Social Security for anybody. I got my handicap, which when I was vice president, down to a 6. And wants to get rid of the ability of Medicare for us to be able to negotiate drug prices with the big pharma companies. What I'm going to do is fix the tax system. For example, we have 1,000 trillionaires in America. Billionaires in America. No one was hurt. No one Israeli was accidentally killed, and it stopped. And I'm going to continue to move until we get the total ban on the total initiative relative to what we're going to do with more border patrol and more.
Yeah. Well, gang, I think Donald Trump's going to save a lot of money on advertisements. I mean, he doesn't have to get like AI video people to make an advertisement. He doesn't have to go out and hire a crew. He don't have to do nothing. That, my friend, is a winning advertisement. If you think about it, that was the entire debate. Donald Trump didn't have to say anything. I don't even remember what Donald Trump said. I don't even care. The idiots that think that Joe Biden did a good job or that somehow they can say Trump lied and that's going to help. They're so brainwashed. They are so brainwashed that they believe that Biden has a stutter. Remember that one? Well, he stutters. Oh no, he has a cold. That's a cold. I've had colds before. Never quite got that mixed up. I mean, a cold, yeah. If somebody if you get cold cocked in the head by a baseball bat, then maybe you'll have that kind of issue. Anything other than that, a cold ain't doing that. So Joe Biden has just made if I'm Trump, I don't make another advertisement. My name's Donald Trump, and I approve of this message. I run it in every state. I run it I run it in the blue states. I run it in the red states. I run it in the purple states. Everywhere I run that, the only thing I say is, I'm Donald Trump, and I approve of this message. And anybody who looks at that will hang their head and say, yeah, I guess this thing's, I don't know, whatever. At this point, I don't even know if Joe Biden's going to make it to November. He does not look like a guy who's got a lot of time left. I'm just saying that. He doesn't look like a guy that should be buying green bananas. Buy them right, Joe. Buy them after there's already ripened. Green bananas doesn't look like that you got a lot of time left to wait for them to ripen. So that's that, everybody. Thanks a lot. Don't forget, share this on all your social media platforms. I don't even know if it even made sense, but I just felt like I had to go over the regime change curse thing, because I mean, they're all gone. All of them, the whole crew, all of them that said Putin's got to go, Putin's got to be defeated, Russia's got to lose, they're evil. He's how about this? This is it. This is the part they end up with. The way Putin was supposed to lose his job is the people of Russia were supposed to rise up and take him out of office. I guess they were going to give him the Gaddafi treatment, right? So that was what was supposed to happen. Putin was supposed to rise. I mean, the people were supposed to get so angry at Putin for dragging them into an economic disaster that they were going to rise up and throw him off out of office. Just wondering, what is it that the people in France and Germany and the US and England are really pissed about? Most and foremost, the cost of stuff, the price of stuff. They're angry about inflation and losing their jobs. They're angry about their financial situation. First and foremost, they're probably not happy that they can't count the number of genders either, but maybe that's just me. I'm just saying that they're mad because of exactly what the plan was to take Putin out. The plan was screw up his economy with sanctions. The people will rise up and take him out. You screwed up your own economy with sanctions, and the people are rising up to take you out. Justice is being served. Save this on all of your save this on all your platforms. I think I may come back on tomorrow, but anyway, share this on all. Oh my God, get like Joe Biden here. Share this on all your social media platforms. Don't forget, you got patreon.com, you've got PayPal, Buy Me a Coffee, Cash App. There are numerous ways that you can contribute and help the channel. I certainly appreciate anyone who does. Anyone who can't do it, I understand that. Don't be mad. Hey, look, there's tough times out here thanks to these very clowns that we just talked about. Just share us on all your social media platforms. Don't even worry about it. If you can, fine. Follow me on Rumble in case they throw me off of here. Follow me on Rockfin in case they throw me off of here. Go to rockfin.com, become a member. Doesn't cost a thing. However, Rockfin doesn't do advertisements. If you can afford to become a subscriber on Rockfin, it's $14.99 a month. I'd appreciate anybody who can become a subscriber, but if you can't, that's fine. Thanks a lot, everybody. Don't forget, share it on all your social media platforms. Peace. I'm out. Oh, wait a minute. You know what? I forgot something. Hold it. Let me see. Because I don't want to miss the super chats. There's a lot of super chats, and that would be wrong. Let's go through the super chats. There's a lot of them on the vote. They're everywhere. I got to get the super chats. Sorry about that, people. If you're ready to go, but I'm going to do the super chats because there's a lot of important ones. Laurie says, is it correct that they cannot replace Zombie Joe and stay on the ballot in all 50 states? I don't know. let me tell you something. They don't go by the rules. Here's the truth. They don't go by the rules. They can do any damn thing they want to. The oligarchs are going to make this choice. The rules may say they can't. They don't care about the rules. They'll do anything they want to do. Ivan, thank you, Ivan B. Whoa, awesome, man. Thank you, brother. All right, let's keep going. Oh, wait a minute. Thank you, the Karen 12. Yay, the Karen 12. Let's keep going. I know there's more super chats. Let's talk. Say the Sparkster says Newsom Kushner 24. I think you're on to something. Hey, what do you think? Hillary's going to try to get back in? How about Raphael says, why do you think 350 million people are not saying no? 350 millions are not saying no to what? I don't know. Or what are they not saying no to, Raphael? I'm not sure. I'm sorry. Wish I could help you on that one. Vivian says, if they get rid of Biden, what do they do with Kamala? Who knows? Maybe they run Kamala. That which is, I mean, at that point, they might as well just all vote for Trump. Stephen Hayes says, Satan, gruesome, Taylor Swift, 2020. I name not hard on Taylor Swift. Taylor Swift seems okay to me. I don't really get into the whole pop culture thing. Vivian says, who do you think Trump VP will be? Well, I'll put it to you like this. If it's one of the neocons, he's a dead man. If he picks like Tom Cotton or one of Pompeo or one of these neocons, within 6 months, they'll kill him. That's all I can say. If he picks a neocon, they'll just kill him and have the neocon. And I believe that. Stephen Hayes says, like the movie The Prestige, dead extra Kamala will be piled up in the basement like so many dead Hugh Jackmans. How about that? Yeah, I mean, God knows the universe can't handle one Kamala. I'd hate to see a whole pile of them. Sparky, since Trump's pro-Israel, the establishment may just concentrate on surrounding him with more establishment stooges. Since Trump is only as good as the last person he spoke to, then forget about. Sure, they're fine with Trump being in charge. Don't fool yourself. Ivan, ruthless tonight. Thank you, Ivan. Stephen Hayes says, Johnson & Johnson baby oil, mineral oil, not made from babies, people. Soylent Green is people, my friend. Soylent Green is people. Anybody know what year Soylent Green was supposed to be in? It was supposed to be the year that they were portraying was 2022. Easy win. Thank you, easy win. I think that's it. Let's check on Rockman. Oh, we got a couple people on Rockman. Moya Tiefenbacher, thank you for a tip. JJ is a tip. And JVB says, given the global meltdown going on, your posts are very therapeutic. Let's laugh a little. Thanks, Garland. Thank you very much. Japan yen in the toilet. Yeah. The Japanese are going along with Biden team, and that's where you go. Oh, we're gonna sanction Russia. Really? How's that going to work out for you, buddy? The Japanese have like no natural resources of their own, no oil, no energy, no nothing, and they're going to go along with these idiots and sanction Russia. Japan is done, as well it should be. Unfortunately, sorry about that for the Japanese people, but when you're led by the comprador class, this is what you're going to get. They're trying to turn you into Ukraine. They're trying to turn the Philippines, South Korea, and Japan into Ukraine. All right, thanks a lot. I think that's it. I think that is it. All right, thanks a lot, everybody. Share this on all your social media platforms. Peace. I'm out.